as an individual player, the star of G2, Perkz, is one of the most successful Western players in history. He's a 6-time LCS/LEC champion, he's an MSI champion and has twice been a finalist, he's a Worlds finalist and has twice been a semi-finalist at Worlds. He basically has the best resume of any Western player in history. But he is not such a great player and such a successful player purely by virtue of his own individual efforts. Not just what he does in the server as Perkz and as at the time a mid laner or as an AD carry that has made him so incredibly successful, in my opinion. That ability level alone could have accomplished a number of those things, but to have the same level of success, he needed the right team around him, he needed the right teammates and pieces to be rotated in and out of the lineup so they didn't just rise and then fall off. To achieve a certain level of international success, you need the right coach, you need the right teammates around you, need the right style that you can play. You look at the most recent G2 lineup, how many teams could even play that style? Never mind have players as good. How come many teams could play that style? You need a very specific type of player, not even just level of player. So one of the reasons I think why Perkz has been so incredibly successful is he is incredibly influential beyond any player I've ever seen. I think probably ever. I think maybe the closest I could come is maybe Faker and how he's revolutionized both how the jungle role was played and how he played in terms of like a pressure vacuum. But the reason why I use the title like Tom Sawyer is if you know the reference, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by the legendary writer Mark Twain contains a pretty infamous story where, as a punishment, Tom Sawyer, I think it's his aunt or something, tells him he has to whitewash, he has to paint a fence white. And so what he does is he gets all the kids in the neighborhood who are passing by, using basic reverse psychology, pretending it's really awesome to paint this fence and it's like a joy to do it. And like, you know, he wouldn't let them just do it for free and join in. He tricks them into not only wanting to do it for him, but actually trade him stuff in exchange for being allowed to do his chores, which he can then go and trade for stuff that he wants. So it's like some next level shenanigans, basically. And now, listen, I'm only taking this metaphor so far, but on some level, I think that is actually a decent explanation of the kind of influence that Perkz has had, because he has managed to repeatedly convince other great players and people who could have been his rivals and beaten him and denied him success and who he needed on his side to help him. In doing so, thinking that they're primarily just helping themselves, but it's actually Perkz they've made more of a legend and more of a success than any of those individual players or figures in his career have ever been. So there was this big scandal recently where it was implied that Perkz helped to poach players, and some people think, right, well, he was obviously just doing this all along because he gets the players he wants and they come to G2. What would you say on this angle?
What I would say is that if people think that the reason the best players in Europe or in the Western world come to G2 is because Perkz poaches them, they're being absolutely delusional. The reason is because they see what the guy is doing versus RNG, you know, or they see what the guy is doing versus whoever. They see that he's just 1v9ing like 30% of the games, and the other games he's just the best player in the team consistently. And of course they want to play with him, you know? And as a result of that, the moment a player's contract is coming to end, the player requests to speak with organizations, and they reach out. That's typically how it goes.
Is Perkz the best EU mid laner ever? Why not?
I mean, I don't know.
Why is that funny?
It's a funny question because I don't like usually. How I think is that like I learn from everyone that I see. Like even if the players are worse than me, let's say like versus me in LCS, maybe he does something that he does better than me, like one small thing, you know. And then when I see it, I'm like my brain automatically clicks, oh, this is like actually good, you know. So I will just take it, you know. And that's like the same with players who are like maybe rated better than me, like let's say Faker. Yeah. Of course, like I think like his accomplishments are beyond anyone, you know. So he will always be rated as the best in the world, you know, like the GOAT, you know. He's like the best, but. And maybe at some point, maybe I am now, maybe I'm not. At some point, maybe I will be better than him in the current line, you know, in the current timeline. Maybe I'll be better than him, you know. So, how I work is that like I just learn from everyone that I see, and then I will always think that I'm the best. Even maybe if I'm not the best, I will think that I'm the best. And so asking this question is like, I don't think that I am the best I don't think that I am the all-time best, whatever, because my accomplishments are not there yet. I think Bjergsen has been on top for so long time that he for sure deserves his title, you know? Like he is, like if I can prove myself to, let's say, play 3-4 more years and still be on the top, maybe I will deserve the best, you know? Or it's very hard to say right now, you know? But as of right now, I think my timeline is too short to be like, and I haven't like accomplished anything internationally based. I mean, I haven't won, you know? I just need to win something. Like I really need to win something to like consider myself the best, because otherwise then like how can I consider myself the best if I haven't not won anything? I remember like when I was like, when I just like maybe just screamed like G2 ordered Kinder Buenos, and then I would get a Kinder Bueno for every solo kill I got in the scrims. Like holy shit, man. that was good times. Like I was eating so much chocolate, and then like it's just like me and Joey had like good trust relationship. Like he was like, I would very often like just trust him with the draft, you know? I would just tell him, Joey, I just trust you, pick what you think is best here. Like I give him options, and there is sometimes like the thing like where I say, for sure, like trust me, this is like, this pick is good here, even though maybe I have not practiced it as much, maybe it just fits here, and I just like pick it on the stage, you know? And even though we may have not practiced it a lot, but I just still pick it, and he trusts me to pick it, you know? And also like for drafts, like it was I guess it was kind of easy for me to give him my input. Like I would just tell him like what matchups are good, like what I can play. But it was also like a lot easier for us to draft in the EU, because like I felt like the teams, or maybe the millionaires or the teams, I don't know, were not good enough. So I could get like very often in Europe, I would sacrifice my draft, like my pick, for like second phase, or like picking like a worse matchup where I think that I could get away with it to get a better draft in the general, you know?
That's why when the semi-finals came at Worlds, I said it in this way, and I just have a talent for saying things in a way that sounds provocative, but at the same time there's something to it. It's a bit mysterious. You've got to understand the way I think, and I don't always fully explain every detail of it. It goes like this. I picked G2 Esports to beat Dam1 Gaming, even though I thought Dam1 Gaming were better, and I actually thought Dam1 Gaming would win. The reason why, essentially, is because there are all these intangibles, and there are these elements that can happen, maybe in less actual scenarios, that when they will happen, G2 will win, even though it'll never show up on a scouting report. It'll never show up in terms of stylistic matchup. It'll never show up in terms of player versus player, as it wouldn't have in that series, and as it didn't, but it could have. So essentially, by the way, I'll give you the spoiler. That wasn't just because of Caps. That wasn't because Wunder's fucking sick top laner. That wasn't because Jankos is the best jungler maybe ever in League of Legends. It was essentially primarily because of Perkz. And that's when he wasn't even the best player, nor is he the person responsible for all the individual strengths of his teammates, without which this scenario wouldn't happen. But he was the key, he was the lever on which the world could be moved. Archimedes, shout out. So that's how special Perkz is. It's why I said in my video, the Carlos's Choice, I don't want to let Caps go, ever, but I'll never let Perkz go. Perkz, of course he wanted to stay, because he wanted to be a mid laner again. It's actually something I respect. I can barely even articulate it. I respect it so much, because I know that in theory it reduces his chance to win. Because here's the thing, Perkz, ironically, is a true samurai. He represents that spirit, that code that you will live your life by, even if it means you die. Because this guy was willing to compete with Caps and with anyone in the world. He wanted to try and win everything. So he sacrificed for one, in the end, 2 seasons, 3 splits really, right? To play with Caps as mid laner. So he did that to get back to winning again. But here's the thing. He didn't want to just spend his whole career like Reckless at times did, like, oh, well, carry me, and I'm sort of the best at my role, but you're the real best player in the best position, so you win. He didn't want to do that. He was killing himself, by the way, even at AD carry, to be the best at AD carry like he tried to at mid lane. That's one of the coolest things as well. And he was one of the better players at his role in Season 9. Now, after his tragic circumstances this summer, I understand why he couldn't be the best ADC. But even then, he didn't complain. He played himself back into form by the time Worlds came. It's just the meta and the way the game was played didn't make him as impactful as in Season 9. But you know what? He gets a point that so many superstars don't get, because the media has tricked them with these bullshit movie narratives that a ring is a ring. And so as a result, he gets that his individual legacy isn't just about titles full stop. It's about what type of title and how did you win it. But that's one of the things that we all assign to Perkz now, because, I mean, there's even tangible proof. Like, he still has it, that absurd record of game 4s where, like basically, if you're up 2-1 on him in a series, like, get ready for game 5. You have to play one, because even now he's still got it. It's still, I'd have to go look at the numbers, but it's something absurd, like 28-4 or something in game 4. So, and we're talking about series against Koreans, series against everyone in Europe in playoffs. Is there something special about him under pressure?
Not that I noticed particularly, just again, scare-free. Maybe he does perform better. I mean, I also remember the game 5 against RNG at Worlds 2018 in the quarters. He completely clutched the entire game against an RNG that was a tournament favorite, or one of, I guess, top 4 teams. He just completely dumpstered them in game 5. Just a man without fear. So whether it's a game 1 or a game 5, I guess he just doesn't really get affected that much, which is much better than, I guess, 99% of pro players. Because everyone gets affected a little bit.
Of course. So what type of mid laner was Perkz when you had him in your teams?
Overall brilliant, because he will always perform well in lane. And keeping in mind that back then there wasn't much coaching, so also like things like side laning wasn't something that I taught him at all.
Right.
But right now, if I have to teach a player how to play on the side lane, I would show clips from Perkz in 2016, 2017. Because he just had the inherent natural talent to just play the side lane perfectly and to know how to play with the fork, where to put the vision, when there's a threat on the map. I just think this guy has such a great instinct for where everyone on the map is, even when he can't see them. And that is one of his biggest attributes. Also had a very large champion pool. He would bust out the Zillion at sometimes, which a lot of like carry players don't like playing that kind of style.
Of course.
And in draft, he just always said, "Joey, I'm not good at drafting. I'm not going to do it. Just pick me something." And, that's very respectable. He just said, pick me something at some point and we'll make it work. So, yeah, that was great.
Perkz is the GOAT of the West for me. He has 9 championships, for fuck's sake. How are people going to dismiss that so quickly? That's not the main reason to make him that. But, like, when no one else is even close. Like, he has more championships in LEC than the players in LCS who have all the championships, like Bjergsen and Dublin. And we consider that an easier region where they, in theory, are supposed to style on everyone every year. This guy's playing killers. He's playing in LEC. He's played mid lane, for fuck's sake, the most competitive region in the West. And especially Europe. That's where we produce the great players. Then you look at his actual game. When he does play mid lane, his performance is always good. His consistency is always good. Listen, he doesn't have the same eye test that Caps does, because nobody does. Like, maybe Season 3 Expeke. And even then, Season 3 Expeke didn't do it as long as Caps did. He's more versatile for my money. I know it might shock people, but here's the reasons why. I think for Caps to be at his best and have the most impact on the game, you should always play around him. He should be given his best champions, whether they're meta or not. Whereas the thing about Perkz is, he could play a whole bunch of strong champions and carry champions and assassins, but if you just want to chuck him on a mage and either go through him if it's a mage meta like in the summer, or you just want to have him play safe or a secondary or tertiary carry and you want to play through top or ADC hard, you can. I don't know that you can always do that with Caps.
Everyone needs a support network, and mine is, of course, my Patreon community, the Scrominati, who, in many ways, they're the Sonny to my Cher, saying, I got you, babe. So this video and all the others on my channel were kindly supported by the following names: Ahmed Hadjou, Matt Pugnatio Rajcula, Adam Tomlin, Animosity, Jensen Goh, Tosh, Toucan, and you know it. Jerky's Minion, my main man, always going to be referenced, one of the best patrons of all time. Would you like to ask a question in my AMA? Maybe you want to suggest a topic or a guest to say on my channel? Do you want teasers? Find out who the upcoming Reflections and Talk to Thorin interviews are. Maybe you want to do one of those long discussions where you get to set the topics we talk about. Well, if any of these or others appeal to you, put your money where your mouth is. Join the Scluminati today via the Patreon link in the description box below.